Hey guys, it's MKxJUMP here, and if you haven't heard, Shea was reworked yesterday, and it's really interesting to see what DH Games have done to her skills. So, someone in the community said to me, hey MK, why don't you talk about her and do a video where we discuss the changes that have happened? And I thought, you know what, that's a great idea, so that's what I'm going to do now. But before we do, I want to give a big shout out to Super Pillau, who lent us his account where he does have an E5 Shea to bring you this video. So guys, let's go check out Shea and have a discussion about where I think she's going to be in the PvP and PvE metas. So guys, let's start by taking a look at Shea's new skills. First off, her active skill deals 396% of damage against the enemy with the lowest HP, and then will continue to make them bleed for 2 rounds. Shadow Step provides her with passive skills. She gets 35% attack, 35% crit, 70% block, which is brilliant considering she is a block-focused hero, and she also has 35% control immune. As well, she gets a little bit of a speed boost. The biggest change comes to this new skill, Reverse Damage. When she blocks, she gains a layer of aggression, and this aggression feature is brand new for Shea. Basically, when she uses her active skill, each layer of aggression that she has will add more damage to the opponent with the lowest HP, and then continue to bleed them for 2 rounds. You might initially think this comes as one big chunk of damage on top of her active skill, but it doesn't. These are individual chip attacks that come out, and I'll talk about that a little bit more later on. As well, Shadow Pursuit is another one of the ways that she gains these aggression layers. When she does her basic attack, she gets 2 layers, and of course, she gets this extra little bonus, which is nice. When she kills an opponent, she restores her health to full. Now, some people might fear that Amun-Ra's curse, which reverses the effects of healing, may kill Shea instantaneously, but I have tried multiple times to make this happen, and it is very difficult. First off, you've got 6 heroes on your team, and the curse is a random 1 hero, so it's unlikely it affects yours. As well, there are lots of healing effects going on, so it's most likely that Shea's healing effect will not happen when the curse is activated. As well, most people build Amun-Ra's to have energy, so Amun-Ra's active skill will happen in round 1, whereas Shea's will happen in round 2. The basic attack from Amun-Ra is unlikely to go off before Shea uses her active skill. It might be a little different if the Shea gets CC'd or the Amun-Ra gets CC'd, but in most cases it's very rare that your Shea could be insta-killed by her own heal, and if it does, you just got really unlucky, and I don't think it's something to start fearing or worrying about necessarily. Now, because Shea's active skill triggers these aggression marks, it is clear that when we build her, we want to maximize the most aggression that we can give her. The best way to do this is to give Shea 100% block. That is the ideal number. That means every time she's hit, she will then block the attack. However, there are lots of things which will go against this, and we need to discuss these further. Firstly, both mages and rages have an impressive 15% precision that is given to them by guild tech. If you want to play around this, because precision directly counters block, you need to have 15% extra block above the 100% you need. So, to mitigate this 15% precision, we're going to need 115% block to keep at that golden 100% block stat. As well, the Wolf Pet, Griffin Pet, Fox Pet, Ice Pet, and Rock Pet all give precision to the opposing team by 10%. So that's another 10% of precision you might have to worry about if your opponent is running that monster. However, it's very unlikely that they are, because the most common PvP monsters people use are Deer, Dragon, and Phoenix, which all do not offer bonuses to precision. Basically guys, all these ways of getting precision play against our goal of getting block. So clearly we need to boost Shea's block beyond 100% to maximize against these precision bonuses. However, there are multiple ways of doing this, so let's look at the different ways we can give more and more block to Shea to make her as optimal as possible. The most effective way to give block to Shea is through the Augustus Magic Ball. This is an artifact that gives 25% attack, 70 speed, and a whopping 50% block, which is brilliant and can push Shea just with her natural block and the Augustus Magic Ball block. That takes her to 120% block, which is absolutely astoundingly strong. That will completely ignore 15% precision that comes from some heroes' guild tech. If you combine that with the 15% block that you can get from Deer Pet or from a different pet, You can then also get to 135% block, which is argued to be the most optimal amount of block for Sheer against some PvE bosses that do have 35% precision, so it completely counteracts that as well. Another option is to use the Invisible artifact, which offers 20% block and 15% HP. Sure, this doesn't come with all the attack bonuses and speed bonuses, which are arguably much better for Sheer, but it is a free-to-play artifact. You don't need anything involving money to get this. All you need to do is open orange artifact shards and hope you get lucky. So for people that are new to the game or they're free-to-play people, this is a great artifact to use on Sheer, especially if you're looking for something budget-friendly, accessible, and easy to use. The next and arguably easiest way to give her bonus block is through the stones. You can get her the block stone, which gives 25% block and 26% HP, and this is another easy and free available way to give Sheer that extra bit of block. If you combine that with the Invisible artifact, you can actually take her up to 115% block, which is the exact amount of block you need to ignore the 15% precision that comes from Guild Tech. So when it comes to free-to-play players and an easy way to build Sheer, this is the perfect budget solution if you're building a Sheer and want her to be good for PvP. However guys, just focusing on block alone is not necessarily the best thing to do. Why? Well, the reason we want block is because we want to maximize on these aggression layers. However, these deal damage, and that damage scales with Char's base attack. If you're putting all this effort into her block and not boosting her base attack, you're not going to get the maximum reward. So, what's the easiest way to do this? Well, don't just use block items. For example, the Magic Stone Sword, the Antler's Cane, the Candy Cane artifact are all artifacts that don't provide block but do boost attack. Now obviously the Augustus Magic Ball that gives attack and block is the ideal artifact. But of course, not everyone has access to that because not everyone was around during the 2nd anniversary or some of the events when it has been made available. But if you do want to run it and you do want to get your hands on it, or if you do have it, it's obviously a great pick. However, if you haven't got it and you feel like you're losing damage because you're focusing so much on block and not enough on attack, it is worth to use things like the Magic Stone Sword just to get that extra bit of attack and also some extra utility as well that does come from these artifacts. As well, just focusing on block is great for PvP because there are 6 opponents and that's 6 opportunities for Sheer to get hit and give herself these aggression marks. Why do I talk about this? Well, Sheer's reverse damage gives her layers of aggression every time she blocks. That's why we want to get as many blocks as we can, but these layers only last for 4 rounds. In PvE, you're going to play for 15 rounds, and therefore, the ones you get from basic attacks are going to stay there for the whole thing. These block ones only last for 4 rounds. And normally in PvE, there's only 1 or 2 enemies that are going to hit you, and sometimes they might not even hit Sheer. Why does this matter? Well, if you're spending so much time chasing block, in PvE it is going to be better to chase attack. Yes, you're going to still need decent block, but it's not necessarily important. Zeals mentioned on his video that 35% precision is a stat given to a lot of PvE monsters. Therefore, he concluded that 135% block was the optimal number for PvE. However, I would argue that actually this isn't necessarily true. Because if you're chasing that ideal 135% block number, you're going to lose out on attack. Unless, of course, you're using Augustus Magic Ball, which is the most efficient way to do it. But if you don't have Augustus Magic Ball, I don't think chasing block is best for PvE. I actually think going and chasing attack definitely is more important. But one thing Zeals does say in his video, which is crucial and very important for PvE players, is that actually, depending on the armor your opponent has, that's going to change how you want to build your Sheer. If you give her an attack stone but don't have anyone stripping away armor, such as Cruz or Sigmund, which you really should have in PvE, it's actually better to use armor break on Sheer or holy damage, because these eat through armor much easier. However, if you are running Sigmund or Cruz or another hero that can strip away armor, you can use attack on Sheer and expect better results. So guys, that's enough PvE talk. Let's talk about the stuff that I really care about, and that's PvP. There are lots of interactions that Sheer now has, which are really worth talking about. So let's check out this footage of her in PvP to see just how it works. So guys, for this fight I want you to focus on Xia and Amon-Ra. First, Xia attacks with her basic and you can see the red aura underneath her shows she's got aggression. Amon-Ra's used her active skill to give her the bubble, and now watch this Xia when her active skill goes off. It will hit the penny, and then it will move onto the opposing crews and deal damage, even though Amon-Ra's bubble is up. That's really cool. Xia's attack ignores Amon-Ra's bubble, which means she can pick off and kill opponents even when the bubble is there to save them. Now let's watch Xia again and just look how much aggression she's charged up now that she's in round 3, round 4. So here we go, she looks like she's about to use her active skill, and let's watch this Dark Arthendal. So there's Xia's active, and look at these attacks go. When the Dark Arthendal falls, it will now move on to the Amon-Ra, and also because she killed someone, look at her health. She restores herself to full. That's really nice to see. Now look, this team's just now left with the Ada, and it's really interesting actually to see Xia in a full Fortress team. Those 2 Ormuses have managed to keep her alive, and her entire function here has been to chip away at opponents whilst Penny sweeps and bursts. Xia traditionally is one of those heroes that deals lots of damage very quickly, very effectively, but now she's all about chip damage, focusing on the weaker opponents and hitting them, getting past Amon-Ra's bubbles, getting through opposing shields. It's just really cool to see. Now, this Ada's finally dead, which is good to see, and let's go check out the numbers. If we take a look at the damage numbers from this fight, you'll see that Penny is still on top, and I want to stress that for a moment. Penny is still a much more aggressive hero than Xia, and Penny has not replaced Xia in the meta at all. When we have to realise the function of Fortress heroes is normally for a Redemption team or a Rainbow team, so we only have a limited pick. Again, if you look at healing, Ormus is way ahead, and this Ormus down here is actually only E2. So his healing is way above Xia's. But look, Xia only heals herself, and that is not a bad number at all. It's very impressive that she keeps herself alive when she kills opponents. However, Xia's place in the meta. Let's think about this. Ormus is your go-to healer. Valentino is a fantastic stun CC hero, and we've got Penny, who is just the best Fortress hero with her amazing burst damage. Where does that leave Xia? Well, for me, Xia is now a very specific hero for very specific teams. The way she will function is to get around annoying effects that will stop a hero from potentially dying. The chip damage that she does ignores Amon-Ra's bubble, so it will kill heroes that way. And of course, that heals herself back up, ready to be more effective. Again, it will also work against Unbending Will, the shields that have now been changed to break after 4 strikes. Well, let's say, for example, she's got 6 charges of aggression. The first one would kill the opponent, so that brings up the shield. The next 4, bunk, 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 break the shield, and then that final 6th one does enough to kill the opponent. So actually, Xia alone can ignore an opponent's shields just because of the way that her active skill works. And also, because she's targeting the lowest health heroes, it's most likely to be heroes that have just put up their shields, so she can then ignore that and break through it, hopefully killing the hero. So overall in PvP, I see Xia as a very useful hero if used correctly. For example, take the situation that Amon-Ra has a bubble up. Would you rather a Dark Arthendal gave a massive burst at that opponent and healed them all the way up, or whether that Xia could strike them, giving them a little bit of heal, then chipping them away to death with her aggression? I find that the way that Xia's aggression works, even though on paper it doesn't give the best damage numbers, it will actually work in a very useful way for making sure that opponents that are nearly dead will die without getting a heal from Amon-Ra. Now, you can ask yourself, why am I going on about Amon-Ra so much? Well, it is my personal opinion, and arguably it's built on some objective truths, that Amon-Ra is currently the make or break hero of the meta. The fact that she can just turn all damage into healing is busted. Xia plays around that, and the fact that this is a specific counter to the way she works means that Xia needs to be a hero that we pay attention to. Sure, a lot of people might not build her, and many people are still going to prefer Ormus, Valentino and Penny in their Rainbow or Redemption lineups, but Xia, just based on how she works, has the potential to do some very interesting things, and it's something that you as a player should be aware of, whether you choose to use Xia or whether you are facing a Xia. I hope you found this discussion about Xia insightful and maybe taken away some interesting thoughts about the way that she's going to work now in the meta. Of course, this is only the first day that she's been out, so none of this is objective truth, it is just what I think she's going to be like in the meta. I really see this chip damage as a way that people will choose to manipulate and try and take advantage of. Is it perfect? No. Is it useful in some situations? Of course. However, that's the thing with idle heroes, you can't really strategically plan what's going to happen, the heroes just go do their own thing. If the game was much more tactical, Xia would be amazing, but obviously you just kind of got to take the situation that comes and hope it works in Xia's favour. If you found this interesting, if you found it insightful, if you think I've missed anything out, please comment down below. Let's get some conversation flowing. If you want to message me directly, you can find a link to my Discord down below, and if you wanted to support me, you can find my Patreon links there too. Guys, I hope you've enjoyed this. Don't forget to like and subscribe. If you want to see more content, you can find it on the side of the screen. And of course, have a great week, guys, and happy idling.